Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to this week's Karma Cards. I'm your host, Therese Tucker. How have you been doing this week? I have been working through some kind of head cold, and I'm finally on the other side of it. Even though I sound pretty froggy, I'm actually feeling quite a bit better today. And I finally had the energy to do karma cards with you. So here we're going to do them. The first thing I want to mention is kind of what's happening astrologically. So we've got Jupiter in Gemini squaring Saturn in Pisces. And this one actually comes to like full strength on Christmas Eve, which is December 24th. So on December 24th, in the Northern Hemisphere, that's when this is at its most potent, but it's been in play for a while now. It's making its appearance and letting its energy be felt. So I wanted to talk with you about that. Also let you know that there is the last lunation of 2024 is happening on December 30th. That will be the new moon in Capricorn coming up. So if you'd like to join us for that, that will be live. That will be a live spirit circle. So if you'd like to join us, here's the link. It's in the description below, and I'd love to see you there. All right. Jupiter squaring Saturn. What does this do for us? And is it positive or negative? Because it's funny because Jupiter is considered the benefic planet. It's like the most good luck, happy planet. It talks about expansion. Whatever Jupiter does, it's like it brings more of it in, like it helps you open up even more. And Saturn is considered the great malefic, which is the negative planet. It's constricting, it shuts it down. It's like what it's kind of like good cop, bad cop is how it feels like Jupiter's good cop. And it's like, yeah, of course we can do that. What do you want to make? Yeah, we can make that. You want to add more? Sure, add more. Where, Saturn comes in and goes, no, that's totally not realistic. That's not doable. We're not doing that, and shuts it down, right? So when these two square each other, it creates a tension point. It makes us feel like something has to give here. In terms of, I feel like it's in terms of how do you want to grow? And I think it's actually a really great square to get right at the end of a year, because a lot of people are starting to think about, they're reviewing their year, they're looking back over what they've created, they're assessing their journey, and they're making decisions about where they want to go next. And I think that this square is beautiful. You want both of those energies in there. And let me explain that. You want somebody who's a cheerleader. You want somebody on your side who's like, dream big, dream bigger. That's one of the things I like to do with people. It's like, how big you want to go? Let's talk about it, right? Let's dream about that. But you also need the realist in your life who's like, financially, that's not doable. That's not in your budget, right? You want somebody who's looking out for you and being real with you about where you are and what's available to you, and get you to sort of work within the framework of reality. And so when these two come together, they do that. Jupiter asks you to think about your big dreams and goals, and Saturn asks you to get real and be like, can you really do that on a shoestring budget? If you don't have anything to spend, you're not going to go out and like spend a fortune. Saturn won't let you do it. It keeps you practical. And I think it's actually really beautiful, because when these two come together, what they actually give you is, some people might feel like confused, like they don't know which way to go. I feel like it gives you the roadmap to making it real. Because again, you need a North Star, and you need to pick a big one. You need to pick something that will keep you motivated for a year, 5 years, whatever it is. It needs to keep you excited, get you to wake up in the morning wanting to go after it. And that's what Jupiter gives us. Saturn says, hold your horses there, as much as you'd like to be, a plein air painter in the lavender fields of France, you got family to take care of, and you've got to make money, and you've got to sustain what you already have. So you got to figure out how to get that feeling of being a plein air painter in the lavender fields of France while you're very much here where you are in this day-to-day reality. which means it gives you a framework to figure out how to do that. It's not necessarily saying no. A lot of people, I think, interpret Saturn as saying no, it doesn't happen. I think Saturn asks you to get real with yourself. And when you dream within your reality, meaning you dream big, but you try to figure out how to do it within the reality you live in, you end up getting really inventive and maybe even a little scrappy. Sometimes you got to start scrappy, right? You might think you have to start all professional and polished, but Saturn's like, you don't have time, you don't have money, you don't have energy for professional and polished. Why don't you just get out there and do what you've got, right? And I love that, because if you're willing to straddle that energy of expansion and constriction, you actually find the path to make it happen. And Saturn's influence on Jupiter can provide us with the roadmap for creating long-term success. So you might not get it, that instant success that you're all hoping for, right? We all want that straight out the gate, and it works. Saturn teaches you to stick around and stick with what you've got and make a legitimate, real plan, like build the train track one piece at a time. But then by the end of it, you've got a full train track, your train is already humming, and you know how to build more track ahead. So I think it's actually a beautiful combination, and that's kind of the main energy we're feeling now. So if you haven't yet done your goals and your mapping for 2025, and again, this isn't about making something that is temporary or fantastical that you're going to give up on in a few weeks. This is about laying the foundation for something you're trying to build for the long term. And you need assistance, you want help, you want support, you want someone on your side helping you do that. I have the tools to help you do that right now. The Epic Year Workshop 2025 has already passed the live version, but you can join me for the Epic Year Express version. That gives you everything except being there with me live in the workshop, but it gives you the workshop itself, as well as all the tools I've created to help you develop, map out, and create a strategy for reaching your goals in 2025 and beyond. So if you're interested in that, here's the link. It's also in the description below. You can click on that, get access for the whole year, and get support with me for the whole year of 2025. So I can be your cheerleader realist in your corner, helping you dream big and use what you have in reality to expand and create the life of your dreams. All right, so I'm going to try and keep this message fairly succinct, because as you can hear, my voice doesn't have a lot of juice in it today, but it feels better, so that's good. So today's message is about divine timing. When I asked the team, what do you want me to talk about? And they said, they always are very wise, sometimes a little sassy, but I love them for that. They're like, well, what do you feel like is really you're kind of struggling with? And I was just like, timing. And they're like, and they're like, but don't you feel like you have an opportunity today? Didn't you know days ago that today was probably the day? In regards to recording karma cards, I always plan to do these on a Wednesday. That's just kind of the day I've set myself for karma cards. That's the day I like to record. Wednesday, when I was ready to do it and I had energy that day, the power went out all day long in our neighborhood. And then the next day, the drones were in the sky. So the power outages and the drones go together. We'll have to talk about this at some point. But if you see the drones, or if you have a power outage, look for the drones, because those are connected. It's my theory. I'm sticking with it. But anyway, there was a power outage, so couldn't record that day. And then the next day was my husband's birthday, which was great. And then this thing has just been slowly creeping up on me, and no matter what I took, it was like I was keeping it at bay. And then I would say like Friday just like hit me like a ton of bricks. So I was pretty miffed, because I have things to do and a time I like to do it in, and Sundays are days where I want to just totally relax and hang out with my kids. And my will was strong, but the universe is stronger. And that's what divine timing looks like. So again, I felt it days ago that it was probably going to be Sunday, and I fought fought it the whole time. And my team's like looking back now, knowing that you can't control the timing of everything. You have the time you'd like it to happen in, and then there's reality, right? So knowing what I know, what would I advise people? That's what they're asking me to share with you. And the advice would be that you can have it set in your mind, whatever it is you want, whether it's something that you're creating, somebody that you're calling in, new experiences, the money, the person, the job, the transformation you're undergoing, whatever it is, you can have that timing in your mind, but you need to understand that if it is for your highest good, there is a divine time that it will happen in. And in between your desired time and the time that it happens in is where there is a lot of processing and something that you probably need to hear, learn, understand, and surrender to. And for me, it was rest. It was like I got to steal a lot of extra time, specifically in November. I was like a machine in November, where I was doing my workshop and I was taking this other course and I was making all this material and coming up with all these new plans. And I got really in this mindset where I'm like, maybe I've found my new rhythm. Like maybe I get all this extra energy. And I hear my team going, no, you used extra time is what it was. Like I was pulling time out of the future and using it prematurely. And basically it was, you got to balance all that activity with some rest. And I am one who, resting is something that I actually really love, but I don't give it to myself easily. There's always something that needs to be done, and there's always like a to-do list in my brain, and there's always another opportunity that I'm sensing, or something I'm trying to stay consistent with. Being consistent is something I really have been working on consciously. And so sometimes I struggle with the idea of consistency and resting, and how do we get both of those going? And I'm learning that, the things that you've committed to, like this karma cards, I love doing these and I love being here with you. And so many of you have sent me messages telling me that this is something you look forward to and it helps you, and you receive messages. And so I feel so committed to showing up to this. But when it's time to rest, it's time to rest. And the universe works in those silly ways. If I had just let myself rest on those days where I could feel this creeping in, and not tried to push myself, I probably would have gotten over this cold faster. But I pushed. I wanted to get things done on my time. And so I ended up paying by having to rest. It was the only way to break through this thing, because I was taking all my herbs and supplements, all the things I know that help. And it was like the only thing that's really going to help you is true rest, where you put things down. And so your thing might be rest too. It might be something else, but there's something on the way to creating that you must see, learn, and understand. There's something that has to be balanced. When it hasn't arrived yet, whatever it is you're intending or creating or asking for, if it hasn't arrived yet, not all the ingredients have shown up. And my missing ingredient was rest. So divine timing means that once all the ingredients are there, then it will appear. And you've got there's a choice now to trust that and believe that, or struggle and try to assert your own authority in the situation, which, I do it all the time. So if you do it too, you're in good company. But it's something for us to learn. We're at this beautiful point right now where you might feel that sense of expansion, but you're also feeling like, I can't get it to happen. Remember, we're in the middle of Mars retrograde. It's very likely that it's delayed right now, because there's not a lot of energy going out. A lot of energy is focused inward. Remember, we're still in that assessing our motivations. That's a big part of it. Then we've got the Jupiter-Saturn square. That's like, oh, I know you dream big, but let's be real. Like something's missing. Before you can get this, look around. What are you resisting? I was resisting taking it easy. I mean, the day that I wanted to record these, the power goes out. I have no control over that, right? So I was resisting the rest because for me, it was like, once I get all this done, I'll rest. But I have to be honest. I'll be transparent with you right now. As soon as I get everything done, I have new ideas of things that I can get done. The list never stops generating in my mind. And I need to recognize that that's who I am, right? So that I have to schedule in, or I have to take heed and listen that when there's an opportunity to relax or rest, I should take that, because my mind is always populating a new to-do list, a new set of things that need to be done, right? I have no problem doing that. So what's your thing? What's the ingredient that feels like it's missing? What are you resisting? Is it taking time to map out your plans? Is it taking time to rest? Is it taking into consideration a certain conversation you might need to have to help you, right, better understand what's going on? What are you in resistance to? What is the universe nudging you with and you keep going, not now, I'm busy? What is it that you feel like you're stuck in, or what are you resisting? If you look there, there's something to learn and something to get. And that could be the ingredient that you need to help it manifest into your life, for that divine timing to come into play, right? So with that, let's see what the karma cards have to add to this message. All right, for those of you who are new to karma cards, let me quickly show you how these work. I have 3 decks here: planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team, what's the message you have for us this week? And I've got 2 sets of answers, a set in red, which are action related, and a set in blue, which are outcome related. And the way that you play is you tune in with that beautiful intuition of yours and feel what is the guidance you need this week. And while you're choosing, let me tell you the timing for this reading. This reading is for the 22nd through December 30th. And the flavor of this reading, okay, we've got Saturn. Saturn, right? The realist. It's like, get real. Get this right. So I feel like this is very much part of this whole divine timing, is the understanding of what do you need to learn, right? In Aries, which is about initiating, taking action, getting something done, making it happen, right? So there we go. In the sign of the 6th house, which is work-life balance, is one of the things that it talks about. So it talks about how you are of service, but how do you also take care of yourself, and how do you balance the two? The spiritual action at this time is to be realistic about your willpower, as if it's a full-time job. Well done, team. Touche, touche. Okay. Right? So going back to my story, I had my time, and then the universe had its time. Your willpower has a limit. Willpower is very strong, and we use it a lot to help us overcome an obstacle or get something pushed through. If you think about, willpower is very much connected to Aries. So if you have dominant Aries in your chart, I'm an Aries, so I get it. Think about those big horns, right? Those big twirly horns, and they live on a mountain. They butt heads with others. I mean, like, they have a will. They have a will to establish themselves or to dominate, but it has a limit. And I don't think willpower itself will tell you that. Our willpower is actually a level at which we can respond in our system. We can respond from our ego. We can respond from our willpower. We can respond from our desire. We can respond from our higher self. These are all different levels to which we can respond to events or stimuli or others in us. We can respond with this. And so our willpower will tell us, I can take on anything. Like, I can make it mine. It's mine. I've decided it's mine. This will happen today. This will happen now. Willpower has limits. It's not the highest power. It's a personal determination. It's time to be realistic about it, right? It's not enough. It's not going to get you there. And it's not always going to be able to establish what happens next. So being able to understand our own limits, and that if the divine will is something else, that is what we'll go through. And maybe there's a part of us that has to surrender to that fact. Don't always love it. Like I said, I heard in my head, oh, this isn't happening till Sunday. And I dismissed it because I'm like, that's not my time. That's not the time I want it to happen in. My team was like, well, we tried to say something. Like, we tried to tell you. We thought maybe saying it would get you to calm down and just relax like we're asking you to. But nope, I didn't want to hear that. So they were like, okay, she's choosing the hard way, right? So let's be realistic about our willpower and let's practice that as if it's a full-time job. Mental action at this time. Be concerned about what you think you know about serving. I think that what it's trying to get us to think about is that I think our willpower can give us a sense of like, this is the best thing that can happen right now. Whatever it is I'm willing to happen is the best thing that could happen. Again, if it's not happening through willpower, sometimes it does. It doesn't always. And you can't push it. There is a point at which I think there is a compromise point where you can try, but there's always a consequence to that. And remember, the divine timing is always connected to the highest good for all beings. That's divine timing. Willpower is not considering what's the highest good. It's considering what is desired now. We have to get clear about, is that actually in connection to service? If it's not going and you have to push so hard, what is being taken for granted or neglected at this time while you're pushing? Whatever the universe is trying to point you at or putting in your path, whether it's dealing with a power outage or a sick loved one or an accident that happened, whatever the universe has put in your path, that is what it's asking you to bring your attention to now, because whatever's there is connected to the highest good. Might not look like it, might not feel like it, but in hindsight, it can be, right? Maybe you were being asked to show up for something that wasn't on your plate. You don't know. We do know that willpower is very much connected to the ego, and what the ego believes should be happening, and the ego is driving when we've got willpower activated. So not always connected to the highest good. And even if you are able to use your willpower to push something through, at what cost? What is the consequence of that? And did it have an impact on another, right? So sometimes when our willpower is dominating and taking over, then it's me first, and it's service to self that's truly activating. This is in service to me and not necessarily in service to all involved. And so that's something that we've also got to get real about. I think our ego can tell us, well, if this good thing happens, it will be good for other people. But again, if the universe isn't harmonizing with it, it's telling you it's not. It's our job to investigate why. Physical action at this time, you must wait before you can do it your own way and do it a little at a time. Yeah, again, this just feels like that cosmic clock, right? I'm telling you Mars retrograde. I'm telling you about that square between Jupiter and Saturn. This is not a doing time. We don't get a lot of action right now. So physical action is kind of like a joke. There is no physical action. There is only assessment. I was like, I heard there's only Zool. No, there's only an assessment though. We only really get to think about, consider why, and rather than what the ego wants to do which is get upset and maybe rail and push back on things. What if we considered that this is good? I do. When my ego is not activated, I always want to work with divine timing. It's the best timing. It's like the universe is helping, right? It's the best it's the best way to work is with that. It just doesn't always work out when we think it should work out. It's going to work out when the universe decides this is the right time. So part of this period is just getting okay with that. Just like about ascension, for an example. So many people are ready to go. Me too, right? I'm ready. We want it. We want to know when. We would like it to be soon because we're kind of tired of watching the movie, and we're tired of watching the deconstruction period, which is what we're in. We'd like to go now. It's like the universe is like, they come together. This happens in a more planned fashion than maybe you'd like, but you're here for this. This is, you said you wanted this, yes, and we all say, yes, I want that. Okay, well, you have to take all the steps. We can't just cut one out because it doesn't suit you, because then it wouldn't be ascension. It would be something else, but it wouldn't be ascension. You want ascension, right? I do. Okay, well then this part comes with it, and it's got to happen in the time that it happens in, and it's less about a timer, if you will, and more about events unfolding and people awakening and understanding. And as that happens, things move forward. And so that just reminds me of how this is an assessment, and perhaps part of this delay is learning how to get good at trusting divine timing. All right, let's look now at the outcomes for Saturn in Aries in the 6th house of service and work-life balance. Spiritual outcome at this time, the maturity that brings energies to meet the challenge of service to others. So like I said, Saturn might not be the most friendly planet, but it gives us a lot. And one of those is maturity, right? One of those is the ability to overcome the hastiness and the short-sightedness that we can often have when it comes to moving forward or creating what we want. We can be very short-sighted and a little too hasty and jump into things before we understand. I know that I do that a lot. And this period gives us the grace of gives us wisdom where we don't always have it, right? Fools rush in where wise men fear to go. So you're about to become the wise person in this scenario and learn how to meet the challenge of service to others, which is the higher timeline. Service to others is the positive polarity. This is where we do take on another's needs as our own, right? And we're operating from our heart space and higher. So that's what ascension is taking us to. It doesn't become like, then I get to do my own thing again. No. No, we operate totally differently. And getting this hastiness and this impulsiveness out of our system so we can truly think about, like, is what I'm about to make something that will benefit the group as a whole? Or is this really just for me? And it's not that you can't have things that are just for you, but the balance has to be that most of what I give out has a benefit to the group. That's why I'm choosing that path. So it's giving us the maturity to clean up some of the more ego-based parts of ourselves, which, ego is the path of service to self. And everyone has a little bit of that, which means we have, a little bit of service to self, a little bit of service to others, and we're trying to expand more into service to others. So as we expand more there, we have to do a little cleanup work over here and leave some of that selfishness behind. And again, this doesn't mean that you don't get your needs met, because everyone will be thinking in this way, which means everyone is also considering your needs too, right? It just means that we're thinking a little more collectively, a little more interpersonally, and in order to get that, divine timing is important, because divine timing is taking in the whole, whereas willpower is taking in the one. All right, mental outcome at this time, caution regarding your desires, regarding what's good for us. Again, we're being asked to get realistic, and part of how we're being asked to be realistic is to think about what it is we're creating. Think about, here's one of the things that I teach in the Epic Year workshop that's helpful now, and it's about motivation, which is the perfect time to share it with you, but it's to think about your why. Why do I want this? Why am I doing this? And there's 3 levels. There's actually more than that, but there's 3 levels you can look at when looking at your why. Why do I want this for me? Just for you. What is it going to give you specifically? Then, how does this, getting this, why do I want it for my loved ones, my family, those who are close to me, my friends? How does it benefit them? Me getting and doing this. And then finally, how does it benefit the world, me getting and doing this, right? If you can answer those questions, you are connecting it past that self-serving need and moving it into showing you how to get it into a service to others place. And if it doesn't do it easily, if you're like, I can't see how this benefits other people, then that could show you maybe I need to tweak this a little bit. Because there's always a way to tweak it where it could benefit someone else. Or I just need to sit with it longer and see, as I meditate on it, how would this affect other people? It's such a beautiful thing to train our mind to do, is what impact is this going to have on other people? Let me try to articulate it. Let me try to see. Because when we're connecting to that, we are connecting again with the higher levels of consciousness, with the spheres of energy that are connected to the level at which we will be living as we continue our ascension process. So if your mind already goes there, you're training yourself to think like that. It's going to help you become more attuned to divine timing. Physical outcome at this time, limits imposed resulting from the honesty and strength of your work. What I'm getting is like the more honest you are, the more you dig into this, the easier it will be to move into divine timing. So again, this moment is not about judging ourselves. You are allowed to want what you want for you. You are allowed to desire things for you. So this isn't a judgment on you meeting your own needs or having an ego. None of those things are being judged. The universe understands how this all operates, loves you deeply, cares about you, actually doesn't care if you go service to others or service to self. It just wants you to commit to one of those paths. The service to others path is the positive path. It leads to more positive things, which is why most people focus on that. Service to others or self is also a path. It just tends to be a harder, lonelier, a very separated feeling path, because it is the path of separation. There's only you. Whereas on this side, there's us. Makes it easier, right? When there's more people to hold the energy, that's just easier than doing it solo. So there is no judgment from the universe on what you want or why you want it. You know, the universe loves you. Even if you reject divine timing and you're going to do it on your time, like yours truly tried to, universe still loves you. The source is still like, that's my girl, that's my guy, you know, like, of course you were going to do that. Of course, you know, it's kind of like I have 3 cats. One of them's a kitten and she's very willful. And it's just like, oh, Mia, you know, when she does it, we're just like, we call her Hamantha when she gets all sassy. It's an inside joke, but we're like, oh, Hamantha, you know, like there she is again. So as much as I talk about how they're like, get introspective and listen and learn about yourself and take heed and pay attention, all that stuff, none of it is done from a place of judgment on you or your choices. All of it is simply like, you want ease, right? That's kind of why you're showing up here to watch this video. I mean, I hope I'm entertaining as on top of it, but ultimately you're just like, which way feels better, right? And my team's always like, well, that way, this is the way to ease, divine timing. Let yourself rest, get the last ingredient so things can be made, right? They're trying to help us along the way, but at no point is there judgment for how you disseminate that information or whether you choose to use it or not, and whether or not you want to put all this attention and effort on what's best for everyone. Maybe you just want to focus on what's best for you, and that's fine. So limits do not imply judgment. They simply imply there's only so much power in one direction versus another. Again, this, if you look at the two polarities, the positive polarity, that's service to others, the negative polarity, that's service to self. Yes, it sounds like a judgment, but let's just think about it as the two poles of a battery, right? Batteries have a positive pole and a negative pole. Think about it like that. There's more power in the positive pole because there's more entities over there. On the service to self side, there's limited power. It's just you, because that's what you want. You're like, I just want it to be about me. And the universe is like, cool. It's literally now just about you. And so that's all you get is what you can muster. There's a limit to what you can muster. When you're working with the universe and the cosmos, you're on the service to others path because that is included in it. Like everything. You get everything. It's the deluxe package. So based on the direction in which your mind will focus will give you the amount of power. Hence why when my divine timing was like, it's going to be Sunday, and I went, no, it's going to be this day because that's when I want it. The universe is like, okay, she's working on her own, guys. Like, let her do it. She's going to try and do it on her own. There was nothing I could get because my power was limited, where the universe is like, I got all this stuff going on and Sunday's the best day, right? I have unlimited time for you that day. Until then, I got nothing to give you. I hope you can see that by stopping to consider what it is you need to get and what the universe is saying. If it's saying not yet, trust it. It's got your best interest at heart. And in the meantime, you can look at why do I resist that? And it's going to give you some really good information and possibly the missing ingredient. And if you want help in creating what comes next in 2025, please check out the Epic Year Express workshop, link into the description below. And of course, join us for the last new moon in 2024, December 30th. And finally, if you're liking these videos and want to support my channel and my team's insistence that I do this in the right time, you can like, share, subscribe, and please leave a comment below. Did this video resonate for you? Are you somebody who also gets stuck in your willpower and wants things to happen on your time? Please say hi so I could see you so I don't feel so alone in my headstrongness. If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all. Mwah.